No, I am not Mike Danger, who was initially slated to be here on this first drive. I'm actually the guy usually behind the scenes editing these types of videos. But today I'm filling in here at Radford Racing, checking out the Dodge Charger Daytona, an all-new, all-electric American muscle car.
And I use the term muscle car lightly because for all intents and purposes, it's not. I mean, let's see, it doesn't have a big block V8, it's not made in America, well, Canada is North America, so I'll give them half a point there, and shockingly, the new EV Charger is no longer available in rear-wheel drive. That's right, the Charger is exclusively all-wheel drive due to its dual-motor setup. It also debuts the STLA platform, a 400-volt electric architecture designed to underpin all future Stellantis EVs. The Charger will initially come in two different electrified Daytona flavors, the lesser-powered Daytona RT and the big boy Daytona Scat Pack. For the inaugural year, both of these trims will be outfitted with Dodge's Direct Connection Stage 1 and 2 upgrade kits respectively.
In this configuration on the Dodge Charger Scat Pack with Stage 2 upgrade, that's good for 335 horsepower sent to each axle and 300 pound-feet of torque. It's a lot.
The aforementioned Stage 2 upgrade adds a power shot button, which unlocks peak horsepower for 15 seconds. For those of you who've had your calculators out, that's a combined 670 horsepower rating, which should propel this battery bank to 60 miles an hour in 3.3 seconds and complete the quarter mile in 11.5. And don't you worry, the lesser powered RT versions will still get nearly 500 horsepower. It's insanity that we're in the days of using lesser powered and 500 horsepower in the same sentence. It's also worth noting that if you're not into this newfangled electric crap, well, you're in luck. The future lineup will include two internal combustion engine options, both powered by a 3-liter twin-turbo inline-6 Hurricane engine.
So the Dodge Charger certainly has the power to back up its muscle car heritage, but does it have the looks? And in short, I think yes. I mean, everything you see here is an efficiency nightmare, but kudos to Dodge for keeping timeless body lines and proportions atop their priority list. Let me know what you think in the comments though.
A chiseled front end and bulging hood frame the R-wing, which bridges across the front fascia and enables air to flow through it to create additional downforce. The Fratzonic insignia, which now denotes Dodge's next-generation vehicles, is proudly adorned on the grille, a nod to their past. If you opt for the track package, you'll get 20-inch wheels with a staggered tire setup and these absolutely massive 16-inch Brembo brake rotors, which might turn out to be necessary considering its portly 5,700-pound curb weight.
Now, what I'm driving is electric, but you may have noticed it isn't exactly silent.
Dodge's solution to this electric silentness? A speaker. Well, they won't say that. They'll say, and I quote, "two passive radiators to create a unique exhaust profile with Hellcat levels of sound intensity, worthy of the Brotherhood of Muscle." I'll save you a Google. It's a speaker inside of a tube.
Don't get me wrong, I'm sure a ton of engineering went into making this happen, and I'll admit it even sounds pretty good, but ultimately I find this equivalent to adding the sound of galloping horses to the first Model T.
But enough talking, we're here to drive it.
All right, so if you're wondering if this thing handles like the 6,000 pound car that it is, I'm not really getting that sense on the road. Generally speaking, I find the steering response is pretty sharp. There's a little bit of vagueness on center, but it's not, not anything of significance. I will give it one thing, that weight certainly helps it when it goes over bumps, like speed bumps. We had a bunch back there that it just really felt like the body could take it. You have all of that weight that you can really absorb those bumps, and it doesn't really transfer through to the cabin all that much. You can also shift it into multiple different drive modes. I have it in Sport right now, which kind of cranks up the sound of the Fratzonic Exhaust. I've enjoyed driving with it today. I don't know that it's something that I would personally leave on. I find it a little bit tacky, but you do get the option to turn it off entirely if that's what you're into. And then if you switch it into auto, it immediately silences down. It is still running, and you can still hear it when you do get on throttle, but it is much more subdued. When you're buying a muscle car, you're not really looking for great visibility, but I can say over the hood, it slopes down quite a bit, so visibility out the front is great. The C-pillar in the back, though, is pretty chunky. Luckily, you have the world's loudest blind spot monitoring beep to keep you in check. You know, this reminds me a lot of the BMW i4 M50 that I drove. It's not that it's incapable of, you know, taking twists and turns quickly. It's that it doesn't feel very graceful at it. It feels like you're very much like powering through the corners and kind of attacking them versus sort of gliding along them. I attributed it almost like skiing. You want to be able to, you know, really glide along the snow and carve and make nice turns. And this just feels like you're, you know, it's one input after another versus kind of seamlessly transitioning them. Ultimately, for people that are just looking for a fun daily driver EV that they can, you know, take to a twisty road when they want to, but are really mostly utilizing the straight line speed, I think this is a good fit. I'm interested to see who's going to actually end up buying this, just because it is such an interesting part of the market. It's, you know, it's a muscle car, but it's also an EV. So does it appeal to EV buyers? Does it appeal to muscle car buyers? That's for you to decide. But personally, I think it has the looks to certainly sell. We'll have to see when it hits dealer floors if that remains true.
Now it's time to take it to the track and see what it can do.
All right, and this is our first hot lap. So we're gonna brake into the first corner, into the chicane, power out, use the curb, cut over wide, late apex into this corner, dab of brakes, accelerate out. This guy is kind of holding me up here, but that's okay. The power of the braking on the Scat Pack is significantly higher than that of the RT. It actually handles quite nicely on track. You know, when I was driving it on the street, I felt like you could feel its heft a little bit more, surprisingly, but out here on the track, its balance is actually quite nice. You know, I'm not really pushing it super hard, but it certainly feels like it has more to give for sure. It's funny, once you give it gas, or sorry, throttle I should say, you can definitely feel that it understeers under throttle. And now we're on to our cool down lap. I'm impressed.
Something else I wanted to mention is that unlike many other EVs I've driven, power doesn't seem to drop off at the top end. In fact, the Charger Daytona pulled all the way to the timing boards of the drag strip. The 11.5 quarter-mile time is impressive, however less so when you realize that it's beaten by a Tesla Model 3 Performance at $20,000 less. Regardless, this new Charger is still an impressive piece of engineering, and with respect to the team that put this together, I'll leave this little bit of automotive beauty. Sorry, I had to clear the tire smoke. Why don't we go check out the interior?
Hopping into the driver's seat, they've done a lot with the interior. This is an all new interior, and I love that they've made this so unique. You know, compared to the outgoing model that was kind of chintzy, this feels really nice. You've got ambient lighting that you can change to whatever color you want. On the upper dash, there's a nice, you know, leather materials all the way wrapping around. I think they've done a really fantastic job. I love the pattern that you see here on the door cards, but I will note that this is a very hollow plastic and it feels very cheap. In some of the higher models with the higher interior trim packages, you do get this in more of a carbon fiber. I think that would be a much better option for this. You get a 10-inch infotainment screen. This is the optional 16-inch gauge cluster. Both look great. The touchscreen on the infotainment's a little slow to respond. It kind of takes a second to pull up those controls. They do give you this haptic touch controls down here. I'm not in love with these. It's hard to get a good feedback. They're very hard to see in direct daylight. And then on top of that, this whole panel moves quite a bit. And these shouldn't be pre-production vehicles, so I believe this is going to be the finished product and how it's going to come out. On the sides, though, you do get some quick access to heated seats, ventilated seats, volume, that kind of stuff. So it's good to see all of that there. Other than that, you do get the option of a glass panel interior roof. That's great. I don't worry too much about the sun coming in. It's a pretty hot day and there's no real heat coming through. Let's hop into the back and see what that's like. You'll notice that there's actually quite a bit of room. This is going to be the same platform that is used for the 4 doors. And so you'll see here that even with it back, we get plenty of leg room. And then on top of that, you get 2 USB-Cs and heated seats back here. It's actually a pretty decent place to sit. And I'm 5'10" and I have plenty of headroom as well. Opening up the trunk, and surprise, it's actually a hatchback. I love this kind of trend where we're getting these sedan-looking cars with hatchbacks, because you get the benefit of, you know, a hatchback where you can store a bunch of stuff in, but you also get the looks of a sedan, which is nice. The front also offers a 1.5 cubic foot storage space that you can also utilize, but I just love the fact that they've made this a nice open hatch space so you can actually use this for carrying cargo. Back here, you're gonna get 22.8 cubic feet of storage, so it's actually quite roomy back here. And then 38 cubic feet with those seats folded, which is pretty incredible. Let's go ahead and fold those down. I wish there was a better way to do this, because it looks like you gotta come all the way inside of this back row. In order to do this, you gotta kind of climb around to get them down. But you'll see, once I've folded them down, I mean, this is a camping mattress almost size. I mean, my subcompact SUV, I think, has less room in the back than this. This is actually quite incredible.
So exactly how much is this thing going to cost you? Inaugural year Charger Daytona RT models with the included Stage 1 upgrade will start at $61,590, while Scat Pack models with the Stage 2 upgrade will begin at $75,185. Both Daytona models are expected to begin arriving at dealerships by the end of the year, with production of Daytona 4-door variations coming early next year. 6-pack HO and SO models are scheduled to come shortly thereafter. If you're interested in buying your very own Dodge Charger Daytona or any other performance EV, like the Tesla Model 3 Performance, Hyundai Ioniq 5N, or the Lucid Air, go to kbb.com and find a fair purchase price. Click the link above for more details. Look, I understand there will be plenty of EV naysayers committed to dooming an electrified Charger, and I'm sure those keyboard warriors are hard at work as we speak. However, from my viewpoint, I find this evolution of the American muscle car to be fitting.
When Dodge set out to create this all-new Charger, they wanted something that looked, felt, drove, and sounded like the legendary models that they're replacing. And with those goals in mind, I think they've made a pretty compelling vehicle. Now, there's surely much more to talk about here, so make sure you're subscribed to the Kelley Blue Book YouTube channel to get the latest and greatest. As for me, it's back to the editing bay. Biker today.